Hello, hello, my friends. It is Hondo. And welcome back to the Knights of the Nerd Republic. You know what to do, and stay profitable.
The Nerd Academy podcast is released weekly at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, available on our website at www.thenerdacademypodcast.com and wherever you listen to podcasts. You can find the Nerd Academy podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. You can also help support the show by going to patreon.com/The Nerd Academy podcast, where every donation allows us to bring you more exciting content every week.
Hello there, and welcome back to Knights of the Nerd Republic, the show where your favorite nerds talk all things about the galaxy far, far away. I am your host, Jarod the Dark Jedi. I don't know why my camera is flickering all weird like. That is peculiar. Anyway, hi, we're here to talk Tales of the Jedi. I'm very excited. And we are joined by returning guests all around. We got Trey Mitchell from Skywalking Through the League and Mile High Cinema.
I have a buddy here.
He does have a buddy here.
I found him at a thrift store, and my life has never been the same. My apartment's been cursed. My dog is scared of Cookie Cop. Things are going downhill ever since I got him.
It's been raining fire
literally
in Florida.
ruined my life. Yeah, I know. Cookie Cop caused the hurricane.
Oh, geez.
Manifested
it.
Happy to be here, though, talking about other things besides Cookie Cop, as in Tales of the Jedi. Really excited for that.
Very excited for that. I wish I could like expedite the battery life on Cookie Cop again, because you got to experience what is hands down the most fun part of having Cookie Cop, which is having him while his batteries are going. So when you push the button, he just goes, and it's the most horrifying shit you've ever heard in your life.
I got him, and he like, I went to the thrift store, and like I got him before my girlfriend was done like shopping, so I was just carrying him around, and he kept making sounds as I was walking around the store because I was holding him, and I was like, "This is horrifying." And then
so does his neck latch still work?
Well. Does his what?
Does like the neck latch still work?
Oh yeah.
With this one, you gotta like.
Yeah.
He made a little noise there. That was when he just went.
Yeah, no, I had to take the batteries out though because it was like scary and scared my dog very much.
That's funny.
So.
This one, the little latch on the inside is broken. So anytime I want to make him make the noise, I gotta like get my keys out and like shove them up his head to get the.
It's a horrifying noise when his batteries are going down.
Oh, it's so bad. It's so bad.
I think there's some videos of it, but yeah.
But we are not alone. We are also joined by friend of the show, one of my favorite people on TikTok. We have Darth Choco back on Knights of the Nerd Republic.
Hello. Yeah, thank you for having me back. Sorry, I'm battling a kitten that's obsessed with my microphone currently. But yeah, thank you for having me on the Cookie Cop podcast. You know what? Like merch idea, you absolutely need to have shirts that are just Cookie Cop's face and then your logo like around it or something like that.
I've been trying to figure out like what direction we should go with Cookie Cop. If I ever have like the money to like sink in to Teen App one day, like I want to make some type of like Cookie Cop haunting kit.
Cookie Cop's going on eBay for like $60.
I know.
Like, Cookie Cop has value.
I know. This is my guy. This is our biggest asset here. But yeah, very, very excited to talk Tales of the Jedi. This is probably one of my more anticipated Star Wars projects of the year, just because I like my space wizards, and I think this show was great. But I do have some thoughts, and I'm looking forward to getting into them. But first, before we do that, a brief word from our lovely sponsors at SundaysBloodyMary.com. You guys know the drill by now. Sundays Bloody Mary has the most badass Bloody Mary accoutrement in the galaxy. They got the 2-time award-winning Spicy Caesar Mix, my personal favorite. They also have their mild mix and their traditional mix. The traditional mix, of course, is vegan friendly. They also have their garnishes and their pickled dilly beans, okra, and asparagus, and a fun assortment of merch. So go on, get over to sundaysbloodymary.com, use code TNAP at checkout, TNAP, get 10% off your order, and you help out your favorite nerds while you do it. So, Tales of the Jedi. We've known about Tales of the Jedi for almost a year now. I remember that big leak that happened, that it was just like a bunch of animated things next to each other. It was like the Clone Wars, like Rebel, whatever, and then it had
box.
It was a box, yeah. What the box was, I still want to know. But we just saw the logo, Tales of the Jedi. Obviously, Legends people immediately had some assumptions. A noted lack of Odan should be called attention to here. But yeah, we got our announcement of what it would be at Celebration, and I was super excited by it. I'm not the kind of person who's going to complain about Ahsoka being in everything, but I can, in earnest, say that the part I was least excited about was the Ahsoka stuff. I am a Dooku guy. I'm a Qui-Gon guy, and seeing material from both of those fellas excited me greatly. And seeing that we were going to get what looked like a cool addition to what we already know of Dooku's turn to the dark side given to us was very exciting. And conversations about canon, I'm sure, will abound here soon. But Trey, you're the most fresh of us. You just finished watching all the Ahsoka stuff. Thoughts?
Well, first off, I want to say with Tales of the Jedi, my first experience with it was I was at Star Wars Celebration, and they had like giving you these little like paper things that were easy access to go to like certain events. So like someone from Lucasfilm gave me like a bunch of these little like handouts to go to these things. And Tales of the Jedi was in the morning, and we went out the following night and had a really good time. So I like overslept the Tales of the Jedi panel, even though I had these like get in free passes to them. So my like first response was like, damn it, like this seems really cool. And they showed the first episode there, and I was like, I could have been at this, but I was hungover, so that was frustrating. But no, this was really cool. I mean, like you, I'm a big Dooku fan. I got my sturdy saber here.
It's a chunky boy. I like it.
It is. It's very nice. I got it from Galaxy's Edge. But yeah, Ahsoka's, I would say, is probably my favorite character in Star Wars, Ahsoka and Ezra. So obviously, like, excited to see more of her, but she is in a lot of stuff. And Dooku's fall from the Jedi is something that I have been, like, if you just search Dooku on my like Twitter, like there's just like 20 tweets of me begging for more of like his fall from the Jedi. So I was really excited for that. And it delivered. Like I wish it was longer. I wish we had like 30-minute episodes versus like 14, but it was good. And the Ahsoka stuff, it felt maybe like the last two ones weren't completely necessary. Like I don't know if I needed to see those. The first one was really good in my opinion, but yeah, that's kind of my short little take on Tales of the Jedi.
All right. Choco, overall thoughts, my friend.
Yeah, overall thoughts. Definitely enjoyed it. While I did party the night before, I did make it to the panel, so I did.
Oh, you were there?
First episode. And they gave.
Was this the night everybody was signing Bill Sheehy's ass?
I think that was Thursday night. So was the panel Friday morning?
No, the panel was Saturday, because that was the day where I was live streaming everything from home and got incredibly angry because they weren't showing us anything. And I remember shouts out
texting me.
I remember shouts out Max from Galaxy of Film for hopping on the stream and telling us what happened at the panel. He came in clutch and made me not want to throw my shoe at my monitor. Shouts out Max.
No, I definitely feel that. I am in the camp that we're getting a lot of Ahsoka stuff, and it's not because I don't like Ahsoka or I'm tired of Ahsoka, but I was genuinely more excited for the Dooku stuff because Dooku's storyline is largely unknown. I mean, yes, we get him in Dooku Jedi Lost, and we get little tidbits here and there, but we don't get to spend a lot of time with Dooku. We don't get to spend a lot of time with the dark side. We don't get to spend a lot of time pre-Clone Wars. So I was really happy to get that. And, and then I feel like on the Ahsoka side, we got Clone Wars, we got Rebels, we got Tales of the Jedi, we got the Ahsoka show coming up, we got the Mandalorian, we got Book of Boba Fett. Like, she's in a lot of stuff. Now, put her in Battlefront 3. Like, please, if we get a Battlefront 3, please put her in. But overall, it was enjoyable. I do have some questions. Like, I feel like there's some stuff that they were putting in there as like condensed versions of other stories, but because of certain things, it leaves me with questions of like when certain things took place and where they took place. But I did like seeing Dooku's fall, although I wonder, the internet is where nuance goes to die. I believe that this sparks a lot of really interesting, like, nuanced conversation about the Jedi and their role in the galaxy and how they could best protect the most people. But I also feel like a lot of people are going to go, "Yay, fascism!" after this. But we'll see how that conversation pops up.
It is a surprisingly short walk from questioning the good guys to condoning like acts of space authoritarianism. I do want to jump into some of the Ahsoka stuff first. As you were saying, I assume you were alluding to how Ahsoka's third chapter is ostensibly like a condensed version of the E.K. Johnston novel. And as somebody who read that 1,000 years ago and never revisited it,
It was a long time ago.
And did so very like in a very spotty fashion. Like, it was not a sit down and go all the way through. Like, it was sit down, come back to it a couple weeks later, sit down, come back to it a month later. My memory of it is not great. Same with Dooku Jedi Lost. Like, it was so long ago, but like there's certain beats you remember. And I think as Choco said, the internet is where nuance goes to die. I think that there has to be room for an earnest conversation about legitimate complaint about queer erasure with the episode, and how there is the character from the book who is ostensibly deleted from the narrative. And you end up with this weird double-edged sword of the character, or the author who created the character, has since kind of devolved in the public eye for a lot of the Orientalist critiques of E.K. Johnston's work. And the flip side of that is the kind of perception that like Dave Filoni likes to monopolize the sandbox. And when given the opportunity, we'll just kind of start plucking things from other people's stories and going, okay, that was cool, I'm going to do it now. And I've said it before, Dave Filoni truly is George Lucas's student, for better and worse. And I don't know. I have a lot of complicated feelings about the Ahsoka stuff. I think the first chapter of her story that we see here, I think it is poignant. I think it is beautiful. I love seeing the nuances of the living force. And I think it's really fascinating. I do, however, when you look back at the trailers and stuff we got for Tales of the Jedi, you kind of realize you already saw the whole thing in the trailers.
Yeah.
you realize that like from the trailers you got all of it. And I don't know, maybe this is an ignorant take to have, but there's part of me that kind of looks at that and goes, well, how much meat on the bone was there? How much meat on the bone for that? Like, okay, Ahsoka is a baby and she's going to, through the Force, make a space saber-tooth not eat her. And then the village realizes she's a Jedi. Like, I thought that episode was going to end with like Plo Koon, you know, like I'm like, okay, like we're going somewhere with like her becoming a capital J Jedi and not just her family realizing she's Force sensitive. And then like that one kind of ends before there's anything you can really sink your teeth into. And the second chapter, as interesting as it was, as much as I love the new outfit we get for her, I love the bridging of the two main outfits from the Clone Wars. It's better to not have a 14-year-old wearing a tube top into battle anymore. That doesn't feel weird anymore. I also, just a little design note, I like the little like white armor tabs peeking out at the shoulder. It's just so clean, breaks it up perfectly. It looks great. Again, from the trailers, every single trailer breakdown, every like one-off tweet talking about the trailers for Tales of the Jedi go, hey, she did the move she did in the Clone Wars finale. She did the move that saves her life. That's so cool. And then you get to the end of the episode and you realize that was the whole point. Like, by the end, the thing we already gleaned from the trailer with the Ahsoka stuff is the point. And then you get to the third episode that already exists in its entirety as a book. And I'm left kind of wondering if we maybe could have done something other than an extended Ahsoka anthology for the other half of this, and maybe dedicate all of it to Dooku or to different Jedi or to a different era. Trey, as the Ahsoka fan, bigger Ahsoka fan than I, at least. Not that I dislike her, I love her, but your thoughts on
Ahsoka.
I can't stand her. She's so annoying. She's rude to Anakin. My opinion haven't evolved since 2008. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But Trey, your thoughts, you know, and obviously feel free to tell me that you think I'm dead wrong if you think I'm dead wrong.
So, I mean, I think the first thing is the Ahsoka novel. Like, I remember reading that. It was like February of 2016. I listened to the audiobook because actually Eckstein narrated it. So that was cool. And with things I remember from that book were there was a really cool chapter interlude about Obi-Wan talking to Qui-Gon through the Force for like the first time since, you know, Qui-Gon passed away, which I guess that part is kind of not canon anymore because of the Obi-Wan show. So that part is different, but I don't think anyone has talked about that. And then 2 was like her with battling the Inquisitor and taking the Inquisitor's Kyber crystals and purifying them, and how cool that was. So I kind of wanted to see that in this, at least, because I felt like that was one of the cool parts from the book. But besides that, I don't really remember the book too much. So when I watched I guess episode 6 of Tales of the Jedi, I wasn't like, oh, that's changed from the book, just because it was, you know, 6 years ago that I read it. But I think there is a lot of valid conversation about what is in Tales of the Jedi that isn't from the Ahsoka book. And I don't remember the book too much, so I don't like have a ton to say about that. But I guess Ahsoka, she is like one of my favorite characters, but like I said, kind of at the beginning, I don't feel like 2 of the 3 stories that we got here were I needed to see. Like I would have liked to see, you know, if it was Dooku in the first 3, and maybe like Plo Koon or just like a different Jedi that we aren't so familiar with, because Ahsoka, as much as I do love her, we've seen a lot of her story. She's gotten a lot of the spotlight over the past few years, and I think she's a great character, but 2 of the 3 of these stories I didn't really need. I enjoyed them, of course, but the first one I liked. Like I liked seeing her, I guess, the first time she really used the Force and her connection with the living Force. I think that's one of the things I really like about Ezra is like his connection with nature and with animals. And I liked seeing that with a little Ahsoka. But I would have definitely liked to see another character. I did like, this is random, I did like Obi-Wan's haircut in the second Ahsoka one. He had more of the mullet from Attack of the Clones. So I thought that was a little cosmetic choice that I appreciated. But yeah.
Young Jesus, yeah.
Yeah, young Jesus. But I don't know if these were the Ahsoka stories I would have necessarily wanted to tell. Like the beginning of chapter 6 or whatever it's called with Padme's funeral. Like that was really good. That hit really hard. Seeing her talk to Bail, really good. But I don't know if the rest of it was really needed.
I think there's absolutely truth to that. I think that, like, and this is going to kind of be like my thesis statement for this episode, is that these 6 episodes are a great proof of concept. I would like more meat on the bone for like a season 2.
Yeah.
It reminds me so much of that one panel at Star Wars Celebration where Dave Filoni was basically like, "Hey guys, here's all my ideas I didn't get to." And like the whole room was just
amazing.
buzzing because it's like Ahsoka fought Maul. Ahsoka had like a brief tete-a-tete with the Emperor. Cad Bane and Boba Fett. Like it's like all of these like.
I was in that room too.
Which
lucky bastard.
Was that this past one?
No, that was Celebration 2015 when the Force Awakens trailer dropped.
Yeah.
Nice.
So
nice.
like when Dave is doing all this, like, and I had this idea and that idea, and I never got to do this and I never got to do that. Now I'm just going to tell you guys this for funsies. That's kind of what a lot of the Ahsoka stuff felt like. A lot of it felt like Dave just kind of, hey, wouldn't it be cool? Hey, wouldn't it be cool? But you don't really get to delve into that. Like, I wanted more of Ahsoka at Padme's funeral. You know,
Yeah.
like I think you could have told a whole more developed story about her at the funeral that, you know, and again, canon is not as important as a good story. I'm never going to argue that like continuity trumps a good story. But I also do think that when the goal is a multimedia franchise, again, you got to share your toys. And I think there was a really fascinating story about Ahsoka making a stop at Padme's funeral that could have just been that. That could have been the story where we found out what Ahsoka actually thought happened to Anakin. Because Bail even alludes to it. Bail even hits her with that there was nothing we could have done for either of them.
Who would have known though?
Well, exactly.
Like
Bail's
that Vader was
only
Anakin there. Only Obi-Wan and
Bail.
Yoda, right? Or Bail?
Oh,
no.
I mean, Bail knows.
Yeah,
Bail
I
knows.
forgot Bail was at the end.
But even then, like, Bail's kind of got to play dumb, you know? Like, because if Ahsoka doesn't know by Rebels, then Bail never told her. And that's fair. That's fine, you know? But, like, you know, he knows what he's talking about. So you could have gotten an edge to Bail where he's, like, telling an Obi-Wan lie to Ahsoka.
Yeah.
With the whole,
I mean,
like, Darth Vader killed Anakin, you know? Like, there was a lot there that didn't necessitate retconning the entire, like, back third of a book, you know? And
what did it retcon though? Like what specifically?
well, I mean, there's a couple things that the only thing that it truly retcons is Bail's involvement and her kind of joining back into the fight, because that does happen at the end of the Ahsoka book. Technically, that episode, what we see in it is a condensed version of a lot of what happens in that book, but none of the people are the same. It doesn't give us a timeline on it. The Inquisitor's not the same. It was written in a way where you can kind of finagle maybe someone called her out on a pit stop after that effect, after the Ahsoka novel is technically possible. But it to me, it feels like the season 7 arc with the sisters. I forget their names.
Trace
I
and
always call
Rafa
them,
Martez.
okay. I always call them Tracer and Sombra because that's just that's just who they are. But that arc was also meant to tell a condensed version of that story of Ahsoka leaving the Jedi, being on the run, seeing the negative effects of what the Empire is doing, and then stepping in at the end and saying there's more that needs to be done. So I feel like we've gotten a condensed version of it 3 times now. I don't believe that it technically retcons the entire book, just mostly Bale's involvement. Also, real quick, not to go full actually, but in the Ahsoka novel, the one part wasn't Obi-Wan talking to Qui-Gon, it was talking to Shmi's grave, apologizing for losing Anakin. And that part was just beautiful, like one of my favorite parts of that book. The conversation with Qui-Gon is in from a certain point of view, but that's like the day
I
of.
thought there was one in Ahsoka too, though. Like I specifically remember being like, "Whoa," when I was reading that, but I don't know.
If you can find it, let me know. But
Yeah.
I do think you're thinking of a story called Master and Apprentice, not
Yeah.
to be confused with the book Master and Apprentice.
Both written by the
right.
same person.
Yeah. Yes.
To make it all the more confusing.
But like you guys were saying, all of the Ahsoka stuff, and that's why I didn't want Ahsoka stuff, because none of it was necessary. We didn't get any new information. We got stuff that we'd never seen, but we could glean from context. And because of the short nature of these stories, none of these stories were full arcs. And so I guess that's why we feel a little, I guess a little empty after them. But some of these ones, like the very first episode, like you said, you can get the gist of it just from the trailer. But it was cool to like kind of marinate in that world, in that time
Absolutely,
period.
yeah.
And the music and the effects and things I thought really looked really good. The Sabretooth looked a little janky in a couple scenes, but other also baby Ahsoka sometimes just looks like a Cabbage Patch doll, and that kind of freaks me out. I have a weird relationship with Cabbage Patch dolls, but yeah, I mean,
death to all of them.
But basically that. It's like when I see Cookie Cop, my first reaction is kill it with fire. So it was retread ground. It wasn't new, but again, it's still fun to come back to this world. Dave Filoni during the panel was talking about how he was insanely jealous watching people work, watching Corbett work on the Bad Batch, because he's like, man, they get all this awesome technology and all these crazy cool tools. Like this looks so freaking good. And like early Clone Wars is, if you revisit season 1, some of it looks bad. I mean, they were doing something brand new, and that's to be expected. And he's like, I want to play with those toys, and that's what he did.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right on that. And again, with a lot of the Ahsoka stuff, again, this like weird nuanced conversation where I don't want to go to bat for E.K. Johnston right now, but I also don't entirely like Dave's approach with a lot of this stuff. And again, like it goes all the way back to like the Bad Batch premiere. We're like,
whose goddamn white baby is that?
I mean,
my favorite.
The slow whitewashing is very much a thing, and something that I think needs to be talked about a lot more. There's a
Kanan again.
We did get to see Kanan again, and how do I put it?
Didn't
I
hear a
understand.
35-year-old guy do a 9-year-old voice this time, though.
Hey, master. Like,
Master, what's up?
I forgot about that. I forgot that it was like just Freddie Prinze Jr.'s whole ass grown ass man
It was
voice
so
coming out of that little
strange.
body. That's so funny. I love Star Wars. That I understand like the custody battle that is Ahsoka Tano between Dave Filoni and E.K. Johnston. Like I understand that like that was his story, and in hindsight, and again, I say this aware of the fact that like there's one of the first like canon, not up to interpretation, queer characters we got in canon from the Ahsoka novel. But in hindsight, I feel like that novel's production was a hasty decision that was clearly made before they went, all right, Dave, we're going to give you one last ride with TCW. And we're going to give you free reign over so much animation stuff with Ahsoka that you can ostensibly just tell the story you wanted to tell in the first place in like chunks, first in Rebels, then in the Siege of Mandalore, and then here now in Tales of the Jedi. That I understand that this is his baby and it was his story originally. I just wish there was more compromise there. And again, it's little details that like sometimes are so like, why did you make this choice? Does they feel inconsequential? Like I am never going to like say Bad Batch bad because Depa Billaba has a blue lightsaber. Or the planet.
It's just unnecessary. Like it could have been.
But like,
right,
why
like,
did you make that
color.
decision?
Yeah.
That is such a buck wild choice to make. Like it's just like I will never understand it, and it feels mildly antagonistic. Like I don't. And again, I'm not gonna Secret War at Lucasfilm. Like, I almost slipped into the Alex Jones voice there for a second.
I didn't almost. You did.
There's a secret war at Lucasfilm. Kathleen Kennedy has been ousted. But there's a
you sounded like Luthen. Cassian Andor.
Cassian Andor. Luthen Rail, played by Alex.
I'd watch that. I'd hate it.
Ms. Mothma, did your husband like the tablet? Anyway, it feels mildly antagonistic, and I've heard the stories about how like Dave was like, the movies and stuff on screen is all that counts. Books are in the periphery. We'll borrow from them if we want to, if not, whatever. And he got overruled there. And like, there's clearly a tension there where sometimes he's like, okay, well then make this make sense, motherfucker. And boom, different lightsaber color. Boom, it's snowing now. Like, and it's just this like, what? Hey, guess who has a blue lightsaber too? Ahsoka. On you. It's just like these weird decisions that I'm never going to understand that just feel mildly antagonistic. Like Dooku Jedi Lost, there's room for it, like you don't like you get Dooku leaving, but you never get up to like what he's up to in the Phantom Menace. And even though like that final Dooku chapter doesn't directly call attention to the fact that he's no longer a Jedi, they also never say that he is. So like there's a weird plausible deniability, but also I don't want it to be plausible deniability. Just say it. If that makes sense. That being said, I think we can move into some of the Dooku stuff. Yeah. Choco, your Dooku story thoughts.
The Dooku story stuff I thought was a lot better, but that's because this was all new information. You know what I mean? We got to see the ground level of what the Senate corruption looks like in the world of Star Wars. And, we got to see, young Qui-Gon, dealing with it. We got to see how harsh Dooku's reaction of it was. And I specifically love seeing Dooku alongside Mace Windu because both of them kind of have this same type of edge, but
it's such a good team up. It makes me happy. I'm sorry I'm interrupting you. There's like this like specific spot on my brain that gets itched when I see Mace Windu team up with other Jedi, and it's because of a fucking cereal box. It was like whenever Attack of the Clones came out, there was like, here's the Attack of the Clones cereal, and I remember on the box they had this like really great still shot of the moment in the Petronaki Arena where Obi-Wan and Mace are like back to back. And it just like the image was just so striking. The blue and the purple and like the way their robes contrasted off of each other and like the stray blaster bolts. And I'm pretty sure it was like a holographic foil on the box. So that made it look fucking cool too. So like there's a part of my brain that just vibrates when Mace Windu teams up with another Jedi on a mission. That just makes me deeply happy. And just that alone, I was like, give notes of justice.
Yeah, I absolutely need more of this, and if we get a season 2 of it, I want it to be, Mace Windu Depa Balaba adventures. That's what I need. But yeah, when it comes to their episode specifically, though, I did love to see how, Mace just has this big boner for the rules. But it lacks the understanding of like, hey, there's greater stuff outside of this little sandbox that you are living in, and how idealistic his rule following was, because you don't really see him as an idealist versus Dooku, who is trying to play outside of that sandbox, and is willing to be the same people he's condemning, for doing what they're doing. He's agreeing with these people who are doing these horrible things. And so, yeah, I love seeing them together. It really highlights that, yes, there's a lot of issues with the Jedi, but it's not okay to become a fascist. Like that's not an excuse. There's, this needs reform, but it's not bad. This over here is bad. Even if
even to go so far as to say is like, this is bad, but fascism is not the answer. Like it's a very, and it's interesting because Dooku does foreshadow his own, like, I agree with what you're saying, but I cannot condone your methods. And then like, now you're decapitating a Jedi Master, like little foot in your mouth there. No, as you were saying,
it was just beautiful. Like I could watch a lot more of just Dooku and trying to get a feel of where he's at and the timing of some of these things, because one thing I'm thinking after watching it is, when he kills Yaddle, is that technically his knighting ceremony for Palpatine?
I think so.
That's what it looks like for me.
I think so. Like, it's absolutely his first Jedi kill, which is just chilling to think about for too long, like, especially when you're given that background information that Yaddle may have been on the same path Dooku was. Obviously not to the dark side, but to that, like, I don't think I could do this anymore. Where she's like, I abdicated my seat on the council. And after abdicating her seat, I don't think it would have been much of a hop, skip, and a jump away from her being like, yeah, you know what? I'm done. Qui-Gon Jinn did not have to die. There's no reason why we sent the Queen back to Naboo with 2 Jedi when we knew good and goddamn well that was probably a Sith Lord that attacked them on Tatooine. like we should have taken this more seriously and we didn't. And he's been saying it for years and we haven't been fucking listening. Like the fact that Yaddle was like putting her shit on the table that hard, like it gives Dooku's fall a tragedy that it didn't have before, because it was just so much fun to have Count Dooku be, you know, mustache twirling Star Wars Count of Dracula, you know, like it had so much depth to it and makes him more complex retroactively, which I love. I absolutely love. I love the fact that so much of his fall feels like it was.
Feels like there's a reason for it now.
Yeah. And more of a reason, because like in Legends, it was incoherent. In Legends, the whole like your apprentice killed my apprentice, and now I'm gonna join you to avenge him. Fucking what? Where here, I think it's fascinating, and I want a whole other new fucking Dooku book now, where we find out, not unlike the Darth Plagueis novel, where like Sidious and Dooku were like kind of already getting into bed together before like the Phantom Menace events were over. Like he was talking to Count Dooku for a time, like leading up to Qui-Gon's death. Like he had his fingers in the pot, and I don't know. I think it's very fascinating. I'm stealing Choco's time. I'm gonna shut the fuck up now. I'm just getting excited because we're talking about Count Dooku.
Well, I mean, but that's a great point. That's why we really need that book, and it makes a lot of sense that they would be in cahoots without Dooku actually becoming a Sith, right? Dooku is having these is you know, upset at the political scene, and he might have confided in this seemingly, you know, unassuming you know, the new chancellor who's going to be pulling the corruption out by its roots and trying to bring peace to the galaxy. And I can see those two people start talking and start planning of like, you know, how do we bring this peace to the galaxy? And that would be an amazing story to really expand on. And you know, I want to find the moment that he's like, oh, by the way, that Sith stuff, it's me. Join me, maybe, you know, like, because that's a hard sell. But apparently it's been working. How do you guys feel?
Yeah, I'm gonna throw to Trey before I keep ranting and raving about Count Dooku.
Jarod, I'm gonna make a political comparison that I hope you will appreciate.
I don't know why you would. Star Wars isn't political.
It's sort of like, so you have people that are very far left and very far right, and they might both dislike someone that's in the middle, but for very different reasons.
Yes.
So Dooku is sort of like, man, F the Jedi. And Palpatine's also like, F the Jedi. So they come together, and then Dooku's like, wait, hold on, why are you saying F the Jedi? We have very different reasons.
Yeah, not affiliated
why
with
we
me.
hate this one thing.
That was great.
Dooku's just out there being a libertarian or something.
Yep, basically. But I mean, like, I think you guys both said everything that I'm thinking about. It's really good adding more layers to his fall and seeing him in Yaddle. Like, I had no connection to Yaddle before really this, and then the Lego Star Wars game. She was in the trailer for it, and I was like, oh, cool, like, nice, Yaddle. Barely knew anything about her. Cool, very cool that Bryce Dallas Howard voiced that character in this episode. Big props to her. Love when she does anything in Star Wars. But
we were all worried that she was going to sound hot and it would give us conflicting.
Oh gosh. Oh, that's funny. And it's also funny because she doesn't really talk too much like Yoda in this. So it's kind of like, was that dude just like on something, like the way that he talked,
which I love. That's the thing from the High Republic. Is it like they call attention to the fact that Yaddle doesn't talk weird? And I've told this joke before, but like I just love the idea that Yoda like had a little meeting with like all the other like super long-lived Jedi. Like he was in a room with like Yaddle and Oppo Rancisis and Yariel Poof, and Yoda's just like, all right, listen, I'm gonna talk in inverted syntax for the rest of my life. All of you fucking go with it.
He just like talked like normally for the first 300 years of his life and just made a choice. to just
And then there just
start
came a point where
talking
he's
in
like,
riddles.
there's like 5 of you who will be around to know that I didn't talk like this.
Yeah.
So I'm going to sit them down. Everyone else is going to think I've gone fucking crazy. But I'm just going to ride on everyone
Gonna
else
outlive
just buying
half
it.
the people that have issues with it.
Yeah,
I
and then
feel like
everyone...
he got a head injury or like some type of like fever, and then he came out speaking weird, and people are like,
It's the Gimmer
we
stick.
don't,
He's
we
gnawing
don't
on the
have
Gimmer stick too much.
Yeah, that'll mess you up.
Smoking
Yoda's a
some
little
spice.
crackhead, confirmed. Like he's just like always
Yeah.
like gnawing on the Gimmer stick, and now talk like this. He does. Anyway,
I mean, when he meets Luke, he was hella high. He had the munchies and all that stuff. Yeah.
He greened out.
he took the walk to Dagobah.
Nice.
Thank you.
But I guess going back to the Dooku stuff, the first episode I think was probably my favorite, just because like seeing him sort of go to that planet. Also, I don't know what you guys think. I don't know if it's the same planet, but it reminded me a lot of the episode where Ahsoka is introduced in the Mandalorian season 2. Sort of have like a planet where there's a lot of trees that are burnt. It's dark. It reminded me of when Din walked through the village and everyone sort of closed the doors to him. I just kind of got the same vibes. I don't think it's the same planet, but
No, I don't believe so.
yeah, but that was really cool, because I mean, you see Dooku go there and like he's supposed to retrieve the senator's son, and then he sort of like changes sides, and it was cool seeing him kind of just stick up for someone that maybe the Jedi didn't want him to stick up for. Like he sort of had a mind of his own, and I think that's why Dooku resonates with people. Like that's I think why I am interested in him, because the Jedi are so dogmatic, they're so rule bound, and he's sort of a free thinker, and that's why he and Qui-Gon are so cool to me. I think, Jarod, that's why you like them too, is they're kind of individuals in this giant organization that are a lot of group thinkers, and they're sort of free thinkers. So yeah, everything with Dooku is so good. I am really eager to see more or read more stories of him. Jedi Lost was really good. And yeah, I'm fascinated by everything with Daddy Dukes.
Well, I absolutely agree with you. I think that there's something incredibly fascinating about how Qui-Gon embodies, hot take, second only to Rey Skywalker, the Jedi code and what it means to be a Jedi better than so many others. And he does it by not abiding by the Jedi Council. Like he is a Jedi unto the philosophy, not its bureaucracy. And Dooku is cut from that same cloth in many ways, but like there's obviously he's not as incorruptible as Qui-Gon, you know, like, and when you look at Dooku's stance and the decisions he's making, you know, I said this, this is actually, this is one of the reasons why Choco and I know each other in the first place, was No Nuance November Star Wars edition many moons ago. When one of my takes was, if the Separatist Alliance was not a sock puppet army of the Sith, they would be the good guys in the Clone War.
Mhm.
You know, the Republic is a failed state. It's one where, as we see with Dooku's stories, like senators who are abusing their power are a dime a dozen, not unlike real world politics. And Star Wars isn't political. I need to reiterate that Star Wars is not inherently political, guys. Wink. But for every one of those senators, you see Dooku like lose a little bit of that faith, and like starts to realize, like, sure, like the Jedi code is great and all, but if we're taking our marching orders to the Senate, we are in active opposition to our own code. And Qui-Gon is in many ways like this incorruptible version of that, where you see that Qui-Gon sees that the Jedi are good in theory and therefore tries to facilitate more of that good in practice, where Dooku is not easily necessarily, but Dooku is Dooku loses his way because that in theory is now nowhere near as in practice as he wishes it were. And there's just so many complicated factors to this. And again, like, no disrespect to anybody who worked on the show, obviously, but just the Ahsoka stuff feels so half-baked that I wish this was all the Dooku stuff. You know, like, again, maybe we fall into the territory where like Dooku Jedi Lost gets thrown out of the fucking window, but like, I don't know. I think there's a bigger story about, at the very least, Dooku's turn. You know, where like if it's Dooku Jedi Lost is him leaving the Order, like it's Star Wars Dooku, like, you know, Sith.
Yeah.
That
Well,
you see him fall into.
The narrative with which Dooku Jedi Lost was written is perfect because it is a story in the future being told and people's interpretations of it. So you can't really retcon anything. Like, it's almost like what they did with Andor and like his past, where they were like, oh yeah, no, that's what the official record says. So we didn't actually retcon it by making him, you know, part of this indigenous planet.
That's true. That's very true.
And then also just going back, I feel like, you know, as we know, Star Wars is not political at all, but the parallel I keep seeing is that the Jedi as a group would represent like Democrats that are trying to work within this system to do the maximum amount of good, but the system itself is rotten, you know. And then Qui-Gon is like far left, and he's just like, let's burn the whole thing down, guys. Like, you know, that's kind of the vibes that it gives me.
Absolutely. And I think that, and to take that a step further, I think there's a disillusionment that has a tendency to happen where, like, as Trey was alluding to earlier, you know, that whole like, well, I don't like thing X for these reasons, and I don't like thing X for this entirely different and asinine and insane list of reasons, where one can get lost in the sauce there and go, oh, well, if you don't like it and I don't like it, well, then we should team up, and completely loses any sight of like legitimate moral standing, you know. And it's so fascinating and tragic, you know, because like I do think Dooku could have affected real change. And
if Palpatine wasn't there, I think Dooku could have created something like really good. If the timing was just a little bit better and Palpatine wasn't at the state of power that he was at, maybe Dooku could create like, I don't want to use the phrase great Jedi because I think that's super cringe, but like a different form of, you know, the Jedi Order. I don't know.
Yeah, a different Force religion, you know, like he could have, or even if he's not into like becoming like the new like progenitor of a new faith within the Force, you know. And this is one of those like, you know, thought experiments, you know. I'm not going to pretend that I'm here to fix the prequel trilogy or anything asinine like that, but like, you know, Trey, you and I have had this conversation. Like, what if Dooku was not Sidious's apprentice? Like, what if he was just a dark Jedi? I mean, I have my own biases, but
looks at name tag.
Yeah, I do think that maybe could have been an even more interesting route. That like everything Dooku's doing does not have the caveat of, yeah, but you're only doing it because you want to take over. Yeah, you're only doing it because of this. Yeah, you're only doing it because of that. We're like, no, like he actually is a revolutionary. Maybe he's violent. Maybe he's corrupt. Maybe he's jaded. But is he wrong? And like, I think that, and again, like it accidentally devolves into him being, you know, mustache twirling, you know, like, you know, like he goes from very like, you know, Obi-Wan join me to, hey, Obi-Wan, fuck you, and like getting ready to cut his head off the back of the clone. it's the issue with like retroactive storytelling that sometimes you're gonna have moments where like the character accidentally like guns it into like one stage of character development and then kind of slowly reverses out of it to gun it back into being cartoonishly evil. I keep accidentally hitting snooze instead of stop because I don't know how to operate an iPhone because I'm a boomer. But yeah, no, I just there's so much to gnaw on with the Dooku stories, and I love it so much. And I just want more Count Dooku. That's how every conversation involving him is always going to begin and end. I just want more Count Dooku.
Well, I feel what I would love is animated Count Dooku, but let's embrace the Andor side of it, where we are telling those morally gray type tales, because in the prequels we do still have to acknowledge that it's still Star Wars. Star Wars is camp. Star Wars is a struggle of good and evil. And how do you know if the guy's good? He's wearing light colors. How do you know if he's bad? He's wearing dark colors. You know what I mean? Like at its core, there's still
his alias is Tyrannus.
Yeah,
very friendly.
It was subtle. But we gotta like. I mean, now I'm just thinking about if we get him as a Dark Jedi. Like, I love Set Hart. He's my favorite Dark Jedi. And like, I think there's tons of mileage.
Well, second favorite, obviously, because I'm here. But
yes, obviously. You were great in the recent Lego Star Wars movies, by the way.
Thank you.
But there's a lot of really interesting stories that we could tell, but again, this is because we're covering new ground, and that is at the very core what Star Wars needs to focus on doing. We need to expand. We need to stop giving us stuff in the same era, because the conversation will always convince on like we're cannibalizing stories that people love, that got them interested in this era, to tell more stories in this era. We got to expand further in the future and further in the past. Otherwise, we're just going to keep, and just Star Wars is going to cannibalize itself. And I don't want to end up with the same, cluster that was the expanded universe, which I enjoyed very much, but it was messy.
It was messy, but like, and honestly, I think you have to go that far back. Like for me personally, I love that like right before the Phantom Menace era shit. Like that is so fascinating to me. Like, show me the Jedi of that era, because then you get more stories with Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon. Please, you get to see like that. The Jedi of that era operating before they were warriors. And you also get to see the way that they were kind of indirectly primed to become warriors, intentionally or not. Like, so you can do the kind of stories that like the prequel generation has been clamoring for. You could just
give me Master and Apprentice Part 2, because I need to know what happens to Rail Averos.
Yes.
After that point. 2, how amazing would it be if Anakin and Obi-Wan are on a mission and they run into Pax and Rahara? Because Pax and Rahara, first of all, didn't really like Obi-Wan, but they liked Qui-Gon. But also Anakin and Rahara both being slaves in their past. Like, I think there could be a lot of really interesting connections of seeing how the character of Obi-Wan developed over the years of having an apprentice and just getting older. And like, there's a lot of really cool conversation that could come out of a book like that.
I agree completely. And again, like, I think Star Wars is, as a story, as a franchise, as whatever you want to call it, at its best, when it is spawning conversations where it's like, ooh, do more of this, ooh, do more of that. It's just exciting. But like, again, something like Tales of the Jedi You know, just that title alone. You know, I know there are people like, do some High Republic stories. Fuck yeah. Do some High Republic stuff. Do some stuff about Luke. Like, do some stuff again. Like I've said before, like, who's my favorite Glup Shitto? Every member of the Jedi Council in Phantom Menace. That's my Glup Shitto. Like, give me a one-off story about Sacy Tin. Give me a one-off story about Kiadi Mundi. Give me a one-off story about Eth Koth. You know, like, stay in the era that people are familiar with. Use the characters we don't know shit about, especially in canon. You know, like when Legends went away, the backstories for a lot of those characters went out the window, for better or worse. So now, like, we have carte blanche to just do some wild shit. I think one of the bravest decisions in the new canon was being like, nope, Eth Koth left the Jedi Order and Darth Vader killed him after episode 3. Like, just wild shit like that.
Became a priest and like, yeah. That was really cool.
Bonkers. It's such a bonkers decision. So I want more of that. Like I said, I think Tales of the Jedi was an excellent proof of concept. I hope we get a season 2, and I hope we get more episodes. I hope we get longer episodes, and I hope it is more of an anthology, or maybe even, and take this or leave it, True Detective it. Next season is a High Republic story, beginning to end. Make a new Jedi, have it be about Avar, have it be about Stellan, R.I.P., have it be about whoever you want it to be about. And then the next season, it's a Luke one. And the season after that, you know, shake up a hat. Oh, it's going to be Plo Koon and Sacy Tin, like, doing some type of bust against the Black Heth on Coruscant. You know, like, you can just keep telling stories about Jedi as like in like a one-off, or not like a one-off because you'd be more than one episode, but like a one-season format. True Detective it. I think that would be the best route, in my opinion, for it, because the one thing that has been consistent among all three of us across all 6 of these episodes was, it was basically, it stopped right as it was like something to chew on.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, the first episode, I did not think it was going to end at like the grandmother figure going, Ahsoka is a Jedi. Credits. Like, I thought there would be more meat on the bone. I thought we were going to see Ahsoka's parents say goodbye to her. You know, I thought there was going to be a moment where like Ahsoka's parents had to be like, we thought we lost you, but you're alive and you're okay. And what we're going to do now is give you the chance to be something greater and give the galaxy, you know, a hero worth cheering for, because we know what you could be. Like, no, it just ends at Ahsoka can use the Force.
You know, we got the inciting incident. Like, so what a typical story would be like is how Ahsoka joined the Jedi Order. The first episode would be the first act of 3 acts, right? You know, it would be that, them finding out she was Force sensitive. But then after that ends, we would get another story of them trying to contact the Jedi. And remember, there's that story of someone pretending to be a Jedi trying to take her, and she hid her power. And then Plo Koon eventually comes, and then she gets taken. And then we would get, you know, her, you know what I mean? So like one act would be this first episode. Second act would be the fake Jedi coming and then deceiving. And the third act would be Plo Koon showing up and then actually taking her over. And that would be a complete story that would make you feel fulfilled. These episodes were so short that we only got the inciting incident. And they were just like, hey, picture the rest of the story in your mind. Like, it's cool. You got it. You know?
Yeah, it's just, again, it's not a bad thing. It's just like the vignettes kind of just stop short on the Ahsoka side for the most part of like the really interesting story. And, you know, with Dooku,
story blue
like,
balls.
Yeah, kind of. You know, it's like a story appetizer. It's like we got to play the demo of a different story for Ahsoka
Mhm.
in some way, and it's again, I have mixed feelings about it, and I liked it, and I think with a little bit more workshopping, Tales of the Jedi could be the next big hit for Star Wars animation, especially for people who are clamoring for like Jedi centric stuff, because the screen is not rich with it currently. You know, we had Obi-Wan Kenobi this year, which hell yeah, not complaining at all. But before that, you know, the Clone Wars does its thing here and there. Like, you know, like most of it was not Jedi stuff. Same with you know, Book of Boba Fett and The Mandalorian. You know, like they lean into it a little bit. It shows up. But that's not what the show's about. I think for the people who are like, give me Jedi and Force shit, Tales of the Jedi would be the perfect avenue for that.
Yeah, I guess my final thought would be like what I would want for Tales of the Jedi. First of all, I think there should be Tales of the Jedi and there should be Tales of the Sith. I think there should be two separate shows that run in tandem with each other. But I think Tales of the Jedi should be Tales of the Jedi. I think it should be Tales of the fall of the Jedi, or the decisions that the Jedi as an organization had to make that led them down this path. Like we can see a lot of that in the High Republic, where there's this crisis going on, and you know, Stellan is acting as the poster boy for the Jedi, and we get the image of them at the, you know, at the fair after the attack, and he's holding the chancellor, and you know, she's asking, because of what's going on, we need more help. We need you guys to be closer involved with us in order to get through this crisis. And so begins the entangling of these two previously separate organizations. I would love like an episode or an arc that focuses on Jedi exists, or this organization. They are separate. They're doing their thing in different parts of the galaxy. Republic is here. Because of this, they started to intertwine. Jump ahead 50 years. What does that look like? And then how do we get closer to what it is in the prequels? And like slowly tell how the Jedi fell. And then on the flip side, we have Sith who are working in secret. You have this master and this apprentice, and doing things, pulling strings in order to to collect power, to collect funds, to get behind the scenes of banks and stuff like that. Because like by the Phantom Menace, Sidious already runs the galaxy at that point in time. He just doesn't have any official title anywhere, but he literally
he's Space Kaiser Soze.
Yeah, he's running everything, and he's just trying to get legitimate power, so you can't stop him. But like, yeah, let's do that. Let's one arc is Palpatine and Plagueis. Next arc is Plagueis and Tenebris. You know, so we can see exactly how they destabilize certain things to collect the power necessary to take over the galaxy. That's what I want.
I love that. Trey, final thoughts on what you'd like to see in the future?
I think Tales of the Sith sounds very cool. Like, especially with like just the whole Roll of Two thing, and like seeing, I would love to see Darth Bane. I'm a slut for Darth Bane. But yeah, just I think like everyone has said here, what worked about the show was telling a story that was new, with like a character that we were very intrigued by and we wanted to know more about. Whereas with Ahsoka, we know a lot, and I just didn't need to see all of it. So moving forward, yeah, just find whether it be the High Republic, whether it be post Return of the Jedi with Luke. I would love to hear Mark Hamill his voice back as Luke. I know everyone is kind of, a lot of people online and stuff talk about like a Luke's Jedi Academy series. I don't know if I need a series on it, but like some little shorts would be pretty cool. So
a season,
yeah, just
maybe, yeah, like do a like True Detective Luke, you know?
Yeah, but anything weird and cool in that, and stories that they wouldn't necessarily write a whole book about or a whole comic series about, but they want to just tell like, one offshoot 20-minute episode about Kiadi Mundi going to a strip club or something. I don't know. I am very interested in that. So, yeah.
And as we do know from Legends, Coyote Mundi drowning in bitches.
Yeah. Also, just to add on, like you said, keep Star Wars weird. All right, we need to see weird stuff. Rebels give us a gigantic force-sensitive space moose, and hyperspace whales. You know what I mean? Like, give me Eye of Webbish Bog. Give me something wild that you're just like, what in the like Elden Ring is this? You know, like, yeah. I also need them to mix it up.
This animation too, and I just like
Sorry.
it's okay. I'm okay being interrupted by Future laughing. I like am a firm believer that I think Star Wars works best in animation. I think animation is the perfect medium for Star Wars. You can just do so many things with it. The quality of the animation is so good, and I just love it. So even if I didn't necessarily love all of the Ahsoka stuff in this, I still enjoyed watching it because it's like breathtaking in animation and characters that I like. And the more animated Star Wars we get, the better for me. I think it's the best.
Right now, I'm gonna do
it. Sensational.
There we go. While we wrap up here, Trey, please tell the lovely people where they can find you and all that you do, bud.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at the Treyinator. I have a Star Wars podcast. It's called Skywalking Through the League. I also have a weekly movie podcast called Mile High Cinema. I need to edit that right after this and post that. But yeah, that's basically what I'm up to online.
Exactly. Go listen and watch everything Trey does. Trey is one of my closest friends and is a very insightful guy. And
flattering.
Don't tell him I told you this, but he's really funny and has really good taste in music. But don't tell him I told you that.
Jarod and I's TikToks are just sending each other baby Keem memes back and forth for the duration of months. Family ties is the only sound in our TikTok.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, as we've said privately to each other, the moment those trumpets hit at Scotty's wedding,
oh my God,
we're gonna lay waste to.
Yeah.
We're gonna waylace to NOLA.
They're gonna ban us.
Nuke. It's over.
Did you see him in live yet? Weren't you gonna see? Did you see Kendrick and Baby Keem live?
No, I wanted to, but none of the shows were coming anywhere near Pittsburgh, and I wasn't able to.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know why. I thought you had tickets to it.
It disappointed me so much. No, it was Tyler the Creator I was supposed to see in March, and then he canceled the show like a week and a half out.
Yeah, my saddest canceling from COVID was Tame Impala. Love Tame Impala, and that was canceled, and that broke my heart.
See, that is awful. And the 1-2 punch of the Tyler the Creator cancellation was that Baby Keem was coming to Pittsburgh the week before Tyler.
Yeah.
So by the time it was too late for me to get tickets to see Baby Keem, who, if I couldn't see Tyler, I was going to see Baby Keem. It was too late for either. So then I got to see neither of them. But hot take, and this is super myopic and like me doing main character syndrome bullshit. I think Tyler the Creator makes a joke about the canceled Pittsburgh show and Cash In, Cash Out. Because he has a line.
Pittsburgh. Oh, your concert. I thought you meant like a TV show.
No. he makes it. I think he makes the joke about it because he says something about like canceled it because the stage didn't match my ethos, and he said that they could not like build the set for Call Me If You Get Lost, and that's why he had to cancel the Pittsburgh show.
Chorus.
Huh?
Cash in, cash out, cash in, cash out, cash in. It's just the rest of that song's great.
I love it. I love that whole song. It's one of my favorite songs of the year.
Yeah.
But no, that's my little theory is that Tyler the Creator is making a joke about the very specific canceled Pittsburgh show from the Call Me If You Get Lost tour in cash in, cash out. I'm probably wrong, but you'll never convince me that I am. Speaking of being wrong and not being able to convince somebody otherwise, Choco, where can everybody find you on TikTok? Not that that's how you feel about yourself, but that's just how TikTok operates.
Yeah, you can find me on on TikTok and on YouTube as Darth Choco. I do the High Ground podcast right now. We're just covering Andor the next day. So at the time of recording it, we'll be going live later today, but I'm not sure exactly when this will be
I'm
released.
posting this within like the hour or so.
Okay, yeah. So if you've already listened to it, it's probably gonna be too late. Anyways, 5 p.m. Pacific time on YouTube, youtube.com/Darth Choco, the High Ground podcast. It's also wherever pods are cast. I always bring on an interesting cast of people to talk, and would love to have both of you on to talk. Whenever, if you want to cover Andor. I've kind of been waiting on Jarod because I have a very juicy topic with someone specific that I think it would be amazing, but I have to realize I can't just not invite people because I'm waiting to do something in the future that's kind of a dickish. But anyways, Darth Choco
no, it's okay. I was inflated. Sorry. I was just saying my ego was incredibly inflated by hearing I have a special plan for you. I'm sorry. Say your plugs again. You said Darth Choco 7 on Twitter.
Yes, and I don't really do Instagram. I need to, but yeah, that's where you can find me.
I've also dropped Instagram. I don't feel any need for it.
Yeah, it's. But I do have a lot of mutuals that get invites to things based off of Instagram. I've been getting them based off of TikTok, but like, I just need to bite the bullet and do both. Anyways, you'll find me talking Star Wars, trying to find weird, nuanced takes that people disagree with, and y'all can fight me over them. So it's fun.
Yes, like I said, Choco is one of, if not my favorite creator in the Star Wars TikTok sphere. The amount of his videos, because I'm shit at TikTok, I have like favorited his videos and went, ooh, I got to do something responding to this. That was really clever. And then fucking don't, because I suck. But like, if you go through my favorites, 90% of it is just Choco. And me forgetting to respond to brilliant stuff he's saying. So go follow him on all the things. Watch The High Ground. The Andor 3-episode premiere had friend of the show Alden Diaz on it. So go check all of that stuff out. You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at DarkJedi2552. And you can find the Nerd Academy podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and on our website, www.thenerdacademypodcast.com, where if you're feeling generous, you can donate to our Patreon. Give me $1. Speaking of our patrons, thank you for Choco. I don't know if this bit was a thing the last time you were on, so you might want to turn your headphones down a little bit. Thank you to our $10 alumnus, Nick Johnson, Keandre Lloyd,
I made those exact sounds.
I know you did. Did. It makes me happy to play that clip when you're on, Trey, because I think about you every time I see it.
Is there a guy in the audience doing backflips?
Yeah. That's exactly what's happening there. That's why Keandre chose that clip, is the person doing a backflip at the end.
Spider-Man was in attendance.
Yes. And to our favorite $10 patron, Paco, or as they're going in the Patreon by now, Taylor Swift.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
That's the sound of $1 billion.
That ruins my whole day.
I'm just trying to think, what could have possibly led up to like that?
I can't remember what caused that specific scream. Everybody who listens to the podcast at this point knows this. I listen to a podcast called Knowledge Fight.
Oh yeah,
and
you do.
Yeah, I do. And it's basically these guys who have like dedicated their podcasting career to debunking, discrediting, and just basically upsetting Alex Jones. Like they'll do episodes that are just like, okay, today we're gonna go over Alex's broadcast from like Monday, October, whatever the fuck, and like they'll play clips
Jared's
and talk
dream
about
job.
it and debunk it. Kinda, little bit.
Yeah.
You're not
Yeah.
wrong. That's the highest compliment I ever got was my girlfriend telling me I was acting like Dan Friesen, the host of Knowledge Fight, whenever Alden and I did the Fandom Menace and how we got here. I brought a tear to my eye. But I was listening to an episode of Knowledge Fight not too long ago, and Alex Jones was taking calls, and one of the guys, after just talking for a little bit, just started yelling, and then Alex started yelling with him, and they were like harmonizing. It was surreal. Again, anybody just listen to Knowledge Fight. I can't recommend it enough. Everybody should become a policy wonk. But yeah, thank you to our patrons. I apologize we weren't able to get a Halloween special for the Versus series out for the Versus series Patreon this month. Next month we will have Satil Shan versus Yoda out, hopefully early-ish into November, and hopefully by the end of the day, hi Jess, there will be
She can't hear you.
I know I say it for you.
Yeah.
There we will be fixing Darth Maul versus Plo Koon. Hopefully today it'll be out when you're listening to this. It's gonna be the version without the cool intro. That's all I can say, because for whatever reason it does not want to export correctly. But yeah, thank you all so very much for watching and listening. We are honored that you have joined us, and may the force be with you always.
Stop! Move away from the cookie jar!